Andrew Urquhart with you on the program, and it is certainly beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Rhema's Christmas programming kicks off from midnight tonight. It was the night before Christmas programming, and as we head closer to the big day, of course, lots more where that came from. Somebody else who's very much in the festive mood, the guy behind Hope Christmas, Dave Mann, joining us. Most wonderful time of the year, Dave.
I feel like saying ho, ho, ho. Great
Just
to see you, Andrew.
Just about. And I must say, because we're having this conversation on Zoom, so in your background, you're getting more and more festive as we get closer to the big day. You've had a nativity sets, but there's something new in your background, and very appropriate to the ho, 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 the real story of the real Saint Nicholas. Tell us more.
Indeed. If there is a Santa Claus, well, Santa Claus has a hero, and his name is Saint Nicholas.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought this story needs redeeming. So we've created a children's story, beautifully illustrated, about the story of Saint Nicholas. So simply called Gifts at Christmas, the story of Saint Nicholas. So we had the privilege of launching that last week with the artist and the author of the book there. And again, available amongst all the different Christmas things to try and keep the Christ in Christmas.
And hey, not only about gifts for Christmas, but it would be a wonderful gift for Christmas as well. Launched last week. If people get in quick on this one, they can get delivery to have it unwrapped on Christmas morning.
You're dead right. Yeah, someone in our office will know what the postal times are, but being early is wise these days.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. Now, something which we started last week, looking at some Christmas myth busting, because some people, even within the Christian community, will go, oh gosh, Christmas, it's just a bunch of pagan traditions. It's got nothing to do with Christianity. We should throw that all out and have absolutely nothing to do with it because it's idolatry in some shape or form. Last week we pushed back, well, you in particular pushed back quite strongly against the myth which says there's no way in the world that Christmas, that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. You made a good case for that, Dave.
Well, yeah, I mean, to reiterate, yeah, no one knows when Jesus was born, if we can be clear on that. So either the tradition of 25th December was clearly in the history and established by 200 AD, and that's only 105 years after the Apostle John passed away. So either Jesus did actually get born on 25th December, or alternately, they knew when the Roman census was.
Yeah.
On which Jesus was born. So archaeology might one day find that, then we'll actually know the dating. But the alternative, which we didn't actually get to mention last time, was that they had a tradition back then, like some Christians have today, where it's believed that God will do important things around Jesus on Jewish festival dates. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at Jesus' death, Jesus happened to also die on what was the Jewish Passover festival. Yeah. So they believed that if God was to become a human, the incarnation, which happened at Jesus' conception, that must have also happened at the Passover festival. So that was a very early Christian tradition. And if Jesus was indeed conceived at the Passover timing, then 9 months later would be his birthday. Yeah. And so once they took the dating of the Passover in the Jewish calendar over to the Greek calendar, they landed on 25th March. Add 9 months, you've got 25th December. So that's the other way they might have got it, because to them, Jesus' conception was actually more important than his birth. And just as a side little fact that's interesting, in the Eastern sort of Orthodox Church, they celebrate Christmas on the 6th of January. Mm-hmm. And their reasoning is that when they translate the Passover, Jesus' death and resurrection, across to their calendar, they ended up on the 6th of April. So that must have been when Jesus was conceived. That's the incarnation 9 months later, 6th of January for Christmas.
So the theory that the reason it's 25th of December is because it lined up with a pagan Roman tradition of Saturnalia, that it was all about drunken debauchery and the worship of Dionysus. I mean, certainly, even within Christian churches, a lot of people go, "Oh no, it's all pagan. We can't celebrate this day, otherwise we're sacrificing to paganism."
Well, I mean, the premise of that date, for starters, really comes from going online and believing whatever we read. And if we happen to repeat it, someone else might believe it as well.
Exactly.
So, I mean, just to address Saturnalia for starters, I mean, that was a Roman mythological festival of the god Saturn, who was the god of harvest and time. And that was established, it was December the 17th. Mm-hmm. So 25th December isn't December 17th,
No.
but to note it, the Romans had the dating wrong. A year isn't 365 days.
Okay.
So their festival creeped from 17th to 23rd. Julius Caesar, in around about, I think it was 46 BC, set the calendar at 365 and a quarter days per year, and it went back to 17th of December. So yeah, it doesn't line up. But I mean, just on the pagan thing, I mean, the meat offered to idols, 1 Corinthians 8, Paul says, well, what's an idol? Because all the meat in the supermarket had been offered to idols.
Yeah.
Should we not eat it as Christians because we're participating with pagan idolatry? And he says, look, an idol's nothing. The only reason not to do that would be if it caused someone else to sin.
Yeah.
So the fact is, even if these festivals did come completely from pagan traditions, which they don't, it still makes no difference because it's not like we're going to be infected. The great news is they were established as Christian festivals by our country. They're not Christian festivals per se, they're cultural festivals. So I think there's something to leverage. And the fact that our country wanted to celebrate Jesus, I think by itself, that's something to celebrate.
It certainly is. Now, one of the Christmas traditions, which is relatively new to the way in which we do Christmas, is the Christmas tree. And for a lot of people listening at the moment, the 1st of December, tomorrow, is the day you put up your Christmas tree because it's the first day in Advent. And I know a lot of people go, well, Christmas trees, that's obviously pagan. This goes back to the Germanic tribes and the way in which they worshipped in wooden groves. There was not just debauchery, there was nakedness involved. We certainly should have nothing to do with Christmas trees because you know where that leads, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm amused, but people certainly do say this, and we get this in our social media, and certainly from non-Christians because they just want to throw stones. But to get it from Christians is a bit sad to me. I mean, one of the verses, or in fact, the only Bible verse cited in relation to this is actually from Jeremiah 10, where it says that don't follow the customs of the Gentiles who cut trees to work the wood with the axe to decorate it with silver and gold. Those ways are futile.
Yeah.
And so it's thought that a Christmas tree is the same, but the point is they were carving the wood into idols, the next verse, to worship the idol. In which case, there's a very simple point. If you do put up a Christmas tree to then bow down and worship it, well, maybe you shouldn't do that as a Christian. But, but on the history, actually quite interesting. I'll convey it as quick as possible.
Yep.
The history of the Christmas tree actually comes from the Middle Ages. They had what was called a tree of paradise. And on the 24th of December, they would do plays, and it was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, reenacting the creation and the fall. And those trees would be decorated. So that's the 1200s, 1300s.
Yeah.
In the 1500s, that's when the Christmas tree tradition started. And they would decorate a tree and put gifts on it, like fruit and nuts. And the tree would be taken to the center of the town. And it was an act of charity. People, poor children could come and take gifts off the tree. And then they'd have a festival with dancing and singing. And sometimes they'd light the tree on fire and burn it.
Wow.
Because if you don't have streetlights, a good bonfire is at the center of all community gatherings. So the tradition was specifically around Jesus and Christmas with a tree dating back, it is over 500 years now, just to note that one.
Now, I heard that this was a Germanic tradition and that the reason it's part of Western culture is because Victoria and Albert. Albert was German. He brought the Christmas tree idea to England. Victoria had one in Buckingham Palace and the rest is history. Have you heard that part of the rumour?
I guess that I haven't heard that, and I guess that dates a little bit later would be my guessing than this, because the Middle Ages onwards, you've already got the decorated trees on the 24th of December for their festival, remembering the creation.
It's just something I read on the internet, Dave. So it must be true.
Must be
right?
true.
Exactly. There is, I suppose, something in the way in which we do Christmas, though, because as you say, it's a cultural tradition, but we can bring Christianity into it. So yeah, if we're decorating our Christmas tree tomorrow, there'll be those heirloom decorations, but having something on the tree which says something about the nativity, having something on the tree which celebrates the birth of Jesus, that's certainly the important part of the celebration that we mustn't miss.
Yeah, absolutely agree. The reason it's a public holiday is because our culture believes Jesus was significant to who we are. Our values of freedoms of speech, freedom of religion, the ending of slavery, the equality of races, the equality of genders, our concept of parity, education for all, etc. All of these things come specifically from the Christian tradition. And this is the reason we've got these festivals. And if we as the Christians aren't going to stand up and tell the stories, well, no one else is going to do it for us. Culture is changing, but we're allowed to have a voice. So yeah, if you've got a tree, we do. We put gifts underneath it for kids. We have guests to our house, but we have nativity all over the thing. We've got window decal on the front of our house. In 2 Saturdays' time, I'm going to be creating my first ever Christmas nativity to go on our roof, because we live on a hill. So I'm going to be putting this thing with lights on it, about to try and create it. So no one can sleep anywhere within a kilometre of me. At night due to the bright lights. But
that's the Christmas spirit. You won't be going with the original tradition of setting fire to your Christmas tree on Christmas Day. You might avoid that. Well, hopefully no fires in your Christmas tree on Christmas Day. Dave, just before you go, I'm bringing Christ back into Christmas. Lots of good solutions and inspiration on how to do that, of course, at altogether.co.nz. But that book just behind you there, the one about the real story of St. Nicholas, where can people get a hold of a copy of that once again?
Yeah, same website, altogether.co.nz, and across the top you'll see shop, and inside there's a whole range of different things. Everything there is about helping outreach or our Christian communication in the public square, so that story would be found there.
We certainly appreciate the work that you do and the conversation, taking the time to chat with us today. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andrew.